Hey guys, back again with another tip for beginners. This tip is going to focus on how many times a week should you be training as a beginner. I think the best answer to this really has to do with a couple factors. Number one, your age. Number two, your physical fitness level, and number three, what are your goals? What are your goals for getting into jiu-jitsu? I think if you have, those three things down from the beginning, everything is going to sort of fall into a range for you. Again, keep in mind this video series, it's strictly for beginners. So if you're, of a more advanced belt level, how many times you train per week is going to be different. Also, with what your goals are, everything's going to be different. But from a strictly beginner standpoint, here are some of the things that I think you should take into account when trying to figure out how many times a week you want to be training. Um, I think if you're in the age range of, like, let's say 18 to 25, you're in pretty decent physical condition, physical shape. Maybe you come from a wrestling background. Maybe you've always been active. Anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week is fine when you're starting out. Um, the age old rule is if you want to progress in jiu-jitsu, you want to at least be going 2 to 3 times a week, and if you want to maintain, you got to at least be going twice a week. I would say that, again, good physical condition, 18 to 25 years in age bracket, 3 to 5 times a week, it's fine when you're starting out to train. Again, all things being equal, how you're training, how hard you're training, the type of school environment that you're in, these are going to play a big part in it. But for the most part, 18 to 25-year range, 3 to 5 times a week is fine. Let's say 25 to 35-year-old in relatively good physical conditioning. I would say, again, 3 to 4 times a week. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe even 5 times a week. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, all things being equal, it really depends upon the school that you're in, how hard you train, if you're training properly. Again, this is just for straight beginners. Let's say you're not in the best physical condition, or let's say you're in the older bracket, over 35 years of age. I would say then you're going to be looking at anywhere from 2 to 4 times a week max. If you're really out of shape and you sort of are saying, hey, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu and I'm going to use that to get me in shape, really the 2 to 3 times a week should be sufficient enough for you to learn, as well as to get that good physical exercise that you're looking for. Um, the main thing is you want to be comfortable training to where you're learning, you're progressing, but you're also not burning yourself out. Burnout is a real thing. We all know how amazing jiu-jitsu is, how addictive it can be. Burnout is a real thing. You might be in great physical condition and you're going 5, 6 times a week, and you're like, man, this is it. I'm going to start. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my first tournament in 3 months. And your first tournament comes, you did well, you're on to your second tournament, you've been training 5, 6 times a week, and all of a sudden you start to feel the burnout. You start to get injuries, you start to just feel tired. It's just not working for you. You have to pace yourself. You really, really have to pace yourself. If you're going to do that training where it's, in excess of, 4 times a week, 5, 6 times a week, you're doing the weekends too. You've got to make sure that you're training properly. You want to speak to your coaches about, how you're going to train. Not every day can be a hard spar day if you're doing that sort of training. Your nutrition has to be on point. You have to be eating healthy. You have to be fueling the body with the right stuff in order to prevent injuries. And strength and conditioning also has to be on point. Your body has to be physically able to take that wear and tear. What I'm also going to do for you guys, I'm going to put in the description some of the ranges that I just briefly spoke about for you, so you'll be able to reference it. Again, I really do think that how many times a week you train in the beginning, as a general rule of thumb, I think the 3 to 5 times a week range, if you're in really good physical condition, is okay. I think if you are doing jujitsu for recreational purposes, hobby purposes, and trying to learn self-defense, 3 times a week is more than sufficient to be able to progress, as well as to maintain the knowledge that you learn. A lot of what's in jiu-jitsu is muscle memory, and you want to continue to go and develop that muscle memory So that way, God forbid the time comes where you have to use jiu-jitsu in a self-defense situation, it's going to be there. It's going to be automatic and just, come right out. And that's essentially it, guys. Until next time for the next tip. Take care.